What's going on, Guardians? In the madness that is Shadowkeep prep, Shadowkeep news, Shadowkeep, all this different Shadowkeep information being released, Bungie recently released their newest Vidoc, The Moon and Beyond, where they talk about not only Shadowkeep, but kind of year 3 of Destiny 2. And today I want to go over what Luke Smith had to say in the Bungie Vidoc really quickly, as well as talk about some of my concerns for the longevity of Destiny 2, because a lot of what's being said and stuff is really looking very good in the immediate future, like for Shadowkeep DLCs and for other DLCs in the future. The activities look like they'll be good. It looks like Bungie's really behind Destiny 2, and it looks like it's really a passionate it looks like a passionate dev team trying to make the best game possible, but I do have some concerns about some of the longevity of Destiny 2. So one of the first things that captured me in the recent Vidoc, which I'll leave a link to below, is Luke Smith says, "Hey, we're back. This is the 5-year vision of the game." And immediately that got me thinking, like, alright, is the plan for Destiny 2 to last a total of 5 years, including this coming year? So that means we would have 3 more years of Destiny 2? Or is Destiny 2 going to be a game that goes on for another 5 years, which would then be a total of 7 years of Destiny 2, including the most previous 2 years we've had? The vanilla D2 year 1, that was a disaster, and then the Forsaken year, which was actually awesome, and it was great. I loved it. So those are kind of the questions we have to ask. Personally, I think it's going to last a total of 5 years, meaning that Destiny 2 has 3 more years, and then we'll transition into a new game, which I don't think they'll call Destiny 3. I think they'll call something else related to, like, with Destiny obviously in the title, but something that could be more long-lasting, something to the extent of something like World of Warcraft, where it's constantly being added to, and that's kind of like the final game, but the ultimate product that just never has an end point. It just keeps growing. Either way, whether it's 5 years or 7 years, I think it's great for the health of Destiny 2, and it tells players that they can safely invest both their time and their money, and they don't have to worry about a new Destiny 3 right around the corner that'll force them to restart all over again and have to reinvest both money and, more importantly, reinvest their time into brand new characters and new loot grinds and things like that. It'll also be great for the game because it seems like they have a real handle on what players really enjoy in raids, activities, and loot, and we don't have to worry about a restart that's going to ruin the progress that Bungie has made with Destiny 2, and because that's something that certainly happened in the past, especially during the switch from Destiny to Destiny 2. Obviously, we had a big transition, a lot of core pieces of Destiny got changed, and it ultimately ended up in a Destiny 2 being in a worse state than Destiny 1 Year 3. And obviously they've changed that with Forsaken and stuff. But let's get into some of the concerns that I have for the game. The concerns I mainly have, one that I think can be fixed, but it would take a lot of time and a lot of just reconstruction, which I don't know if Bungie has, the time, the money to invest in such a change, because I don't think it actually affects the way the game grows at all. And then number 2 is just a concern in general and a limitation on the current generations of consoles and stuff. And I legitimately think that they can't make these types of changes. So number 1, the one that I think can be changed, but it would require a complete overhaul and a complete time investment, money investment, all kinds of things like that, is character customization and the way subclass builds work and the way they synergize with each other. So currently, when you're picking your subclass in Destiny 2, you get to pick between your solar version, your arc version, or your void version, and then within those there are different trees with each having 4 perks, one that's a super as well. And you just pick one of those trees and you're locked into that tree. There's no other customization that's involved. This seemed to me part of one of those decisions that Activision made, where they were trying to simplify Destiny so that they could give it basically a larger target audience that of like more casual players, but then not making it too complicated for them so that they could easily get into the game. But it kind of ruins the complicated aspects of the game that hardcore players really loved, and that was tweaking their subclass to work perfect. If you've never seen Destiny 1 and you've never played Destiny 1, I'll have an image on screen, a clip on screen, of me going through a Destiny 1 character customization of a subclass. And in Destiny 1, you had a wide range of options for character customization that included recovery, resilience, mobility. It even included which melees you wanted versus which jump you wanted, obviously, and then which grenades, which version of your super you wanted combined with whatever grenade you wanted and what those grenade abilities did, and all this other great ability stuff that you got to pick and choose every single section to get the perfect version of the whatever, Warlock, Titan, whatever version of that character you wanted. Whereas right now, it's like, if you want to play Nova Warp, or you want for example, on a Warlock, if you want to play the mini supernova grenade, the one that one-shots people, you have to spec into Nova Warp. Like, you don't have another choice. In Destiny 1's version of that, you would be able to spec into that grenade, but also be able to pick a different version of the Nova Bomb, where maybe you want to do the Slovo Bomb. So you'd be able to pick Slovo Bomb and still have your one-shot grenade. So this is partly a balancing decision, although I honestly don't think so, because just certain abilities work differently from one another, completely differently from one another, and it would be really cool to have those options across the board in a more complex subclass screen, and currently, obviously we don't have that, and it would be a completely overhauled system. You'd have to change the way the UI works, you would have to change how trees were established, you would have to change all of that, and it would take a lot of time to completely overhaul. And I'm worried that character customization, build customization is going to be limited in the 3 to 5 years that we have of Destiny 2 because of the way subclass trees have been built. This, however, obviously can be changed. It would just require a lot of time and work. The other concern I have is much greater, and I don't think they can change this. So my other concern is the limitation of the current generation of consoles. So the next generation of consoles actually seems pretty strong. And it seems like if Bungie wanted to create Destiny 2 on those consoles, it would seem like those consoles could run Destiny 2 at a higher frame rate, with better resolution, better graphics and things like that, and that all seems fine. But at the same time, you've had Destiny 2 on PS4s and Xbox Ones for a while now, and if they have one of two options if they want to continue down this path of 5 years. They could just leave current gens behind when we get like a year into next gens, like the PlayStation 5 and whatever the new Xbox is going to be called. A year down the line, they could say, hey, we're done with Destiny 2 on old generation consoles. There's going to be no more DLC, nothing like that. Which would also make sense because Destiny obviously currently is already over 100 gigs, and our current consoles, if you bought one at the beginning, only has 500 gigs of storage. So that makes sense to just drop those old consoles maybe after a year. But then you're telling a large casual fan base that maybe isn't going to get a new generation console for a couple of years to stop playing a game that you've determined is a hobby, is supposed to be a hobby for people. So that concerns me. And then if they choose not to, let's say they choose not to drop anything. Let's say they say, hey, we're building with current PS4s and Xbox Ones in mind. Then they're limited, the stuff they can build in terms of activities, raids, PvP, anything, is limited by these old consoles, and that's going to limit them. You basically, when you're game building for this type of thing, you build for the hardest thing to get working. So you build for a current PS4, and obviously that stuff can transition and work on a PC. If you build for a PC first and then try to transition back to a PS4, the stuff you've built may just not work because of the lower quality of hardware in the PS4. Some other concerns I have, really quickly, 30 FPS, anything after 2020 just doesn't seem acceptable at all. Peer-to-peer connections in the future generation of consoles and PCs, just anything after 2020 seems unacceptable as well. It's just like, these are two, 30 FPS and peer-to-peer connections are like dinosaurs in the games industry now. Like, it's like expected of a new game to be at least 60 FPS and expected to be on a dedicated server. So those are also two things I'm really worried about, and those also just don't seem possible to apprehend or change. And it'll be really interesting for Bungie if this really is a plan for 5 years. It really interests me to see if A, the new consoles will be able to run at 60 FPS, and B, if Bungie will continue to support PS4s and Xbox Ones a year into the new generation. So those are just my concerns with the recent Vidoc. Everything else seems so awesome. It's just crazy. Like, the game looks so good. Trials may be around the corner. PvP is getting a great overhaul. I'm still a little bit upset about the sandbox changes, but overall, this looks like a really awesome game we're about to get in Shadowkeep. Looks like a great DLC. I'm super stoked, and I'm really excited that Destiny 3 is not going to be in a rush state for whenever that releases. But at the same time, I just wanted to share with my concerns with the current Destiny 2 and the worries I have for the long term. But in the short term, all of this looks awesome. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a longer one. I'm going to try and edit it down, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.